media and culture, in which many speakers with whom I have had formal association. The list is long. We have professors. I notice Narendra is there, Arulanam is there, Usharani is there, Biplab is there, and many other senior academicians are present here. While the main speakers, the broader issues of this topic from their own background, understanding, the paper presenters have all worked as an extension of their research and are going to present their views. Many plenary sessions and many panel sessions are at least available to us for the next 3 days. And definitely I'm sure that by the time we close the conclave, we will have a better and an enriched understanding of this subject. Media and culture has been a long debated issue, also a matter of concern for the people and the society. Culture is a living experience, and for academicians, it is the perspective that we try to offer on this topic. My memory goes back to the early 70s, when we were all students, and India was actively pursuing both a development discourse as well as a discourse of, in terms of geopolitical realities, the discourse of non-aligned. Many of you, at least the senior members here, might remember that the post-1976 debates on non-aligned news agencies through and the subsequent International Commission for the Study of Communication Problems, the McBride Commission, for the first time in communication and media studies, posited a whole new reflection, I would say, new perspective, reflection on the cultural dimensions of communication and media. There were very strong arguments at that time about the growing media presence, not only in India, but many other developing countries, similarly placed with regard to their challenges about deprivation, about education, and many other sectors. Now, naturally, when media was being positive or was growing, there was a equal concern about the role and importance of technology. Satellite communication had not only been experimented with, had become a reality. It is in that potential for transnational communication, or subsequently, as scholars would have pointed out, global communication. Naturally, the question of culture was framed. It was framed in many different perspectives. It was framed in the perspective of the familiar dynamics of imperialism. It was also framed in the perspective of the European response in terms of cultural autonomy, and also for countries like India, there was also a notion of negotiation that was flagged. We also remember the very noted academician and scholar, Professor P.C. Joshi, who, in the context of massive expansion of television, had formulated a key question, a question of television for what and television for whom. Now, there was no glorious and euphoric celebration of the medium in itself, but there was a reflection as to what the medium could do in the wake of its expansion. A lot of debates in India and elsewhere about responses with regard to domestic culture content as against the potential transmission of other cultures and other ideas. Today, when we look back at some of those debates, scholars might dismiss it as being very nostalgic or even romantic. But what has happened in the context of what presently scholars would refer to as the digital ecosystem? While scholars during the next 3 days will be definitely debating the definition and understanding of media, etc., etc. If you take the ecosystem, then you have many different versions and interpretations of culture. Very often, as it happened in the context of the pandemic, culture assumed a newer dimension. The whole contours of viewing culture and viewing dynamics changed significantly. The dwelling unit, whatever we call it as, became the hub of a new form of shifting cultural dimension. One might talk about the OTT phenomenon. Statistics and other facts are not so important as much as it trying to define its own pattern of distribution of content. So, when content gets distributed within the notion of, as many of the younger scholars are talking about, algorithms and predictions, whether those predictions and assumptions are a definition and inclination of culture is one important question that we may have to raise. Earlier, we used to critique different forms of content as driven by audience. Even now, that phenomenon persists, as some of the OTT management would say, but it manifests itself in different ways of preferences. So the whole dynamics of viewing culture, shifting contours, individual viewing, niche viewing, etc., is one aspect of culture. If culture is looked at as a living culture, one has to recognize that. Then, of course, there is the broader question of contextual responses to culture. Very often, as scholars, we don't come to agreement as to what culture is. Each one of us comes to the definition and understanding of culture from either our informed scholarship or our observation of what is happening in the society as a manifest change. Now, European scholarship particularly negotiated and defined culture in the one would call it as the neo-Marxist perspective, and looked at the production and consumption of content, and introduced the notion of, as some would understand, the hegemonic dynamic, the dynamics of production and consumption in the market and the global perspective. As opposed to this, there were continental responses to culture. Post 9/11 and the articulation of deconstruction and religious stereotyping and religious portrayal, the notion of deconstruction and Orientalism was also possible. India is a unique case because the short phase of India being swamped by essentially dominant Western content was not necessarily the case, because Indian television, good or bad, accepted the challenge and was in a position to domesticate its production and content. A large country, we had enough viewing audience. It was able to sustain. Now, in the digital ecosystem, there are two or three things that are happening. The binary between producer and consumer is no longer valid. The notion of the producer and consumer being one and the same, what we call as the prosumer, is when you have user-generated content and institutional content, the dynamics of both conflict and conflict resolution takes place. Like, for example, today, all content, digital or otherwise, is subjected to intense scrutiny, intense critique, and portrayals and representations are contentious. Now, what does the state have got to do is a very important question. The state, on the one hand, has to balance the conflicts, representation, portrayal. And all of you in this room know there have been several instances, particularly of film and film-based content, where the state has difficulty in negotiating the constitutional dynamics of freedom of expression as against the sensitivity of the audience. So culture therefore becomes both a domain of legislation as well as the domain of the user. It is in the user domain that many societies are having serious problems. All of you know that social media is not social by connotation. It's a highly territorial, narrow, and clustered media ecosystem. Now, when you have such a scenario, the primordial notion of the society comes and overlays itself onto social media. It is in this contestation of social media that you see a lot of issues pertaining to fake content and many other measures have to be taken. There are debates about, for example, issues pertaining to shutdowns, etc., etc. There are issues pertaining to who is on the social media, who is not, and who decides whether somebody should be on the social media, etc. All have become issues in our thinking. So, from that perspective, narrowing down culture to a set of operational propositions, etc., may be a problem. The impetus for the digital media regulation content, to me, is a reflection of the cultural ground realities, international, what should I say, dimensions, and national legislative and constitutional provisions. How it is going to lay out is not predictable. But what is predictable is the regulation and notion of content is definitely going to come, and it may promote or affect culture. These are some of my opening thoughts for this seminar. I have already sent to a detailed note on the dynamics of viewing culture, on the dynamics of state response, on the dynamics of user development that might become available as and when it is published. But I thought that I could bend my opening perspective so that we could have some kind of a reflection. I know all speakers come prepared with their baggage, including me, but the baggage can always be open and our minds can get newer perspectives on that. Once again, on this note, I particularly thank Shri Upendra Padi for his enthusiasm in bringing all. To me, for the past 6 years, this is one of the major national conclave where I see particularly youngsters coming from different parts of India and giving their perspective. So I would say that NFC is an equivalent of many national conclaves, and I wish him and his team the very best and look forward to listening some of our distinguished speakers in the plenary sessions and probably taking on some of the younger, better and newer perspectives from the paper readers during the course of this conference. Thank you very much for listening to me.
We are extremely thankful to Professor V.P. Sanjay for his opening remark in the media conclave that marked his deliberations on the topic. And now we are very much delighted to note that Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, esteemed Additional Director, Consortium for Educational Communication, who has come a long way from New Delhi, is a remarkable personality who has been promoting education digitally across the country. As an administrator and promoter of education, Professor Srivastava stands grand. And in this inaugural session, he will be presenting the keynote address. And before we listen to him, I would like to, we are all set to witness a video on Consortium for Educational Communication. And so at the outset, we would like to listen to Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, who will be presenting the keynote address, and after that, the video will be played. Professor Rajneesh Srivastava.
Chief guest of today's inaugural function, Professor Sabita Achari, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, Professor V.P. Sanjay, Shri S.C. Verma, Professor Upendra Adi, distinguished members of the audience, delegates, students, ladies and gentlemen. I am privileged to stand before you on behalf of Consortium for Educational Communication and its director, Professor Jagat Bhushan Nadda, who was supposed to join this conclave and address the conclave on certain issues. However, due to certain personal exigencies at his end, he couldn't just make it. He has shared his good wishes for the successful organization of the conclave and his good wishes to Professor Adi particularly for continuously organizing the various editions of this conclave over the years. He has also shared a 5-minute film which encompasses all the contributions that Consortium for Educational Communication has made over all these 3 decades of its existence. The contribution that CEC has been making in the area of educational media is a unique organization of its type, and rather the only organization of its type under the UGC, an Inter-University Center, and which works with a network of 21 educational media research centers and develops educational content in the higher education sector of all the non-technical disciplines. It has got Asia's biggest repository as far as educational content is concerned, and produced, as the technology is progressing, using the various media platforms, the educational content for the students in the remotest corners of the country. It provides an indirect way of education to the students who are not able to come to the colleges or undertake the formal education. It's a very silent operational organization which is not very much visible, but it reaches to the section of the students for whom the education is very difficult to reach. The 5-minute film that encompasses everything will indicate all those things. The CEC started delivering and dissemination of educational content through the National Mission for Education through ICT. And presently it is handling the most prestigious programs of Government of India, and they do through 2 platforms, Swayam and Swayam Prabha. And in the recent past, the Government of India has entrusted these Consortium for Educational Education to develop the 8 degree programs, and the entire organization, along with its network of 21 EMRCs, is engaged in that. Professor Nadda very much wanted to be part of it. CEC is one of the sponsors for this organization, and we take a lot of pride in part of it, and we thank particularly Professor Parvi for giving us an opportunity to be part of this great endeavor. I'll request with the permission of the chair here to take the Professor Nada's address, a very elaborate address on record, and I'll request the chair and the organizers to please screen the 5-minute film which will tell you everything about CEC. Thank you.
From ancient Bharat to modern India, education has always occupied a place of prominence in Indian culture and tradition. Nalanda, Taxila, and Vikramshila, the world-famous centers for learning, were the epitome of such education and attracted students from the remotest corners of the planet. Ancient India has given the world wisdom, yoga, Ayurveda, and classical art forms. And today, CEC, Consortium for Educational Communication, has stepped forth to build a digital learning environment to emulate the ancient Indian education system, to provide quality-enriched educational resources integrated with human values and culture on digital platforms to the remotest learners. CEC was established in the year 1993 as a pioneer of digital education in the country to address the issues related to higher education. CEC is the national coordinator for SWAYAM MOOCs and 11 SWAYAM Prabha DTA channels to address higher education needs through digital media, to take education to the remotest learner. CEC has its 21 Educational Multimedia Research Centers, EMRCs, spread across the length and breadth of the country, with more than 400 trained workforce, state-of-the-art equipment and infrastructure. Besides owning the largest digital educational content repository in Asia, CEC has more than 16,000 videos spread across 74 subjects, approximately 24,000 e-courseware modules, over 19,000 short learning objects, more than 8,000 live and recorded lectures, 1,022 massive open online courses on the SWAYAM platform. CEC has created e-courseware modules based on the UGC model curriculum, moving towards CBCS compliance, developed by Pan-India subject experts, and validated and certified through a 2-stage peer review process. It is a complete learning package containing question banks with MCQs and assignments, providing instant assessment of learning outcome. It can be accessed free of cost. CEC has developed approximately 24,000 e-content courseware in 87 undergraduate subjects, covering 4 knowledge streams: art, culture, language and literature, social sciences, natural and applied sciences, and management and other professional courses. CEC's YouTube channel has recorded a footfall of over 5.6 lakh subscribers, with more than 4 crore video views, equivalent to 400 years of watch time, with top 5 viewing countries across the globe being India, Pakistan, USA, Nepal, and UK. CEC's digital content can be integrated with traditional pedagogy through blended and flipped learning, short learning objects to teach concepts, portable e-content, video on demand through CEC web portal, subject-based content provided locally through LAN. CEC's undergraduate and postgraduate MOOCs are hosted and accredited by various educational institutions pan-India. India has the second largest higher education system in the world. However, our higher education system has its own share of challenges, like low gross enrollment ratio, GER, of 27.1% in higher education sector, scarcity of faculty, infrastructure and facilities, redundancy in teaching practices, various socio-economic and geographic barriers, high cost of higher education, learning habits and abilities, universities in production mode, lack of opportunities to pursue interests. Here, CEC has the capacity to address these challenges by carrying out online content activities which include designing, development, and dissemination of digital educational content, running of e-courses, and conducting proctored online examinations through National Testing Agency, NTA. So far, CEC has issued 36,143 course credit certificates in partnership with SWAYAM and various host universities for SWAYAM MOOCs examination. Further, CEC has begun developing educational content in 12 regional languages to increase the accessibility and reach of its online learning resources to the rural populace of India. Moreover, to create ICT-based learning environment in the country, CEC's Prakriti Documentary and Film Festival has gone international. The festival aims at creating awareness and sensitizing people about issues like environment, development, the human rights, and the Swachh Bharat. This event receives overwhelming entries from participants across the world, and CEC organizes its EduTune and EduWrite competition annually since 2018 on themes of digital education. Every year, the educational video competition is organized by CEC, which converges students, filmmakers, and experts from all over India. At CEC, we empower people with the power of knowledge.
We are extremely thankful to Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, esteemed Additional Director, Consortium for Educational Communication, for his address, which was followed by the screening of a documentary on CEC. Professor S.C. Verma is with us, and as we know, is the advisor to Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and having enough experience in the domain of Indian art and culture. He has been counseling the Ministry of Culture, Government of India for so many days. And as we know, Indian culture, with its unity in diversity, has always lured the world population to pay a visit to India and to experience it. And particularly, Professor S.C. Verma has been doing yeoman service in making the Indian culture reach far and wide. And we are very much delighted to have him in our midst. And may I take the privilege to request Professor S.C. Vermaji, esteemed advisor to Ministry of Culture, to address the congregation on the basis of the theme given to us. Say S.C. Verma.
Namaskar, thank you, Dhanyavad. It is a great honor and privilege for me to come here. I am a son of the soil. I belong to this place. I was born here, I studied here. So it always gives extra happiness to come here. And I am great privileged and honored. Professor Padi has given me this opportunity. Respected BC Madam, Professor Savita Acharya, and Professor, all the dignitaries on the dais. I am no expert on culture. You see, I am a simple bureaucrat. I have been working in the Ministry of Culture because for the last 3-4 years I was Joint Secretary in Ministry of Culture. Before that I was in Law and Justice. I was Director in Ministry of Defence. I was deputy secretary in UPSC, so I don't have any expertise on culture. But yes, I know that I have been handling this portfolio, and for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, I have been working as the advisor. So, because as we know, culture is it is everywhere. It is a way of life. The food we eat, the dress we wear, the language we speak, everything is culture. So in Ministry of Culture, we have broadly divided tangible culture and intangible culture. So tangible culture, like we have got all these ASI monuments, the state-owned monuments, all these, we have got hundreds of museums in under Ministry of Culture. We have got large number of libraries, and we have got a number of institutions like Asiatic Society, there's Anthropological Society, all are under Ministry of Culture. And 3,500 monuments, including 32 World Heritage Sites, are also looked after by Ministry of Culture. And intangible culture, that is the music, all these things, these are all. And again, we also divide it visual culture, there's performing arts and visual arts. Okay, and there is another classification also, that is classical art, classical dance, the other is folk art, folk culture. Because we have got Sangeet Natak Academy in Delhi, and there are three premier institutions under Ministry of Culture: Sangeet Natak Academy, Lalit Kala Academy, and Sahitya Academy. They were all established in early 50s. And similarly, all state governments have these three institutions. They are supposed to be independent and autonomous to encourage and promote the Indian culture as well as the local culture. We have got zonal cultural centers. There are 7 zonal cultural centers. The zonal cultural centers mainly they focus on folk culture, local culture. So today is a great occasion. Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, the founder of modern Orissa, was born on this day. As a student of history, I remember I have heard many times his speeches, the way he participated in non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement. He was Chief Minister of Orissa 1946 to 50, then 1970s. He was arrested during the emergency period, and the newspaper he started, Prajatantra. Prajatantra played a stellar role in the dissemination of, in the making of modern Orissa. And we know what happened during emergency and what was the role of media, the censorship. Indian Express and Statesman, they took up the challenge. They brought out blank editorials. The next day, when the emergency was announced, Times of India and Hindustan Times, they totally told the government line, whatever, as I remember vividly as students, those were very difficult days when emergency was declared, and the media was totally made a subservient to the state. And Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab was arrested during emergency. So those were the days. And the book he wrote, The History of Orissa, it is a magnum opus. We have so many historians have written about Orissa. Another classical work which has a direct linkage to Indian Orissan culture is Jagannath Cult and State Formation in Orissa. So I would recommend everybody should read this classic book. He says that like Puri Gajapati, he's got the agent of God on earth. He has the Lord Jagannath, He does the Chera Pahara, he sweeps the floor with golden broom. There is Badadanda, there is Mausima Mandira, all because of all these things, Puri Gajapati has higher status, god status. So all the princely states of Odisha, they copied Puri. They also started Rath Yatra. And after generation and two, their status also got developed. This is called competitive politics. Because of this competitive politics, state was formed. What we see today, the modern Orissa, it was formed because of this competitive politics. So culture, religion, they are directly interlinked with state, with the politics, with our lives. So interesting about this Jagannath cult and the state formation, because they say that Orissa has the best example of integration model. What is integration? You see the culture. Professor Sabita is an expert in anthropology. I am not an expert. But what I can say with my limited knowledge, you see the Hindu tradition, the great tradition, it assimilates the small tradition. When it expands the tribal traditions, the lesser traditions. But in Orissa, it didn't happen. Because the tribal population was so big in number, when the great Hindu Brahminical tradition started expanding, they could not assimilate. So, all the tribal features, all the tribal lives, they were preserved. So, they say that Jagannath, in his incomplete form, these are all tribal features. So that is the beauty of Orissa, that is the beauty of culture, that is the beauty of integration model. So coming back to media and culture, they are directly interlinked, and media does the role of a mirror. Sometimes it does more than mirror. It has a great role for to educate, to literate the masses. Imagine the pan-Indian sari, it has now become a fashion status symbol. It has gone beyond over India. It has gone beyond Asia. Think about the bindi the Indian women put on their forehead. It has become a status symbol. And it has become a fashion symbol. So media does this. And what all these OTT platforms, sitting in your drawing room, you learn, you see, you come to know about what is happening in Latin America, what is happening, what is the culture, what is the society in Turkey, what is in Western Europe, what is in South America. So these are the great things. And I would just a little bit discuss about Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, because this idea was mooted by Honorable Prime Minister 2 years back. So we have got a cell in Ministry of Culture. It is called the Commemoration Cell. So this is the mandate of the Commemoration Cell to celebrate all the events. Like the 200 years of Pipe Rebellion in Orissa, it was celebrated. 150 years of birth of Mahatma Gandhi. The 550 birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev. These are some of the big events we did recently. So, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the main theme, there are 5 pillars. The major pillar is freedom struggle. So, under freedom struggle, we have to celebrate about our unsung heroes. Everybody knows about Gandhiji, Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru. But there are hundreds, thousands, millions of unsung heroes. We should celebrate their sacrifices and we should remember and commemorate them. Then our Honorable Finance Minister, she suggested to create a digital district repository. Digital district repository It is basically all the districts of the country. We have got at present 770 districts. All these 770 districts, they have contributed to freedom struggle. So we have to document this freedom struggle. And there are four parts. One is personality. Of course, you know about personality in each district. There are personalities, those who contributed in freedom struggle. Then we have got hidden treasures. Hidden treasures are the monuments, the memorials, the statues, their parental house where they are born, the jails which they spend time, the freedom fighters. These are all hidden treasures. Then living traditions and art forms. Living traditions and art forms like our writers, authors, poets of freedom struggle, painters of freedom struggle. This is the living traditions and art forms we have to celebrate. Like, have you heard the name of Upendra Maharati? Upendra Maharati was born in Puri. Okay, he was a student of Santiniketan. He was a contemporary of Nandlal Bose. He has painted masterpieces about Gandhiji. He has compared Gandhiji with Jesus Christ and Gautam Buddha. Like Gandhi, he was killed. He gave his life for the nation. So also Jesus Christ and Buddha also for telling the truth. So we have to celebrate these things. There is another interesting thing also I must tell you, because we initiated a campaign that the children from the school should write to the Prime Minister on two things. One is unsung heroes of their locality. Second is India of their dream. When India become 100 in 2047, what kind of India you want to see? 1 crore 25 lakh postcards are there. ये फर्जी नहीं है. You see, ये जो मार्केटिंग होता है, nowadays you find most of the things are फर्जी. घर में बैठ के बना लेते हैं मार्केटिंग सर्वे, लेकिन ये हार्डकोर है. ये भुवनेश्वर ओडिशा से भी 10 लाख बच्चे लिखे हैं पोस्ट कार्ड्स टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर. All these postcards are in Delhi. So when we did analysis of these postcards, very interesting trends came out. There are top state-wise trends, 10 trends. Then there are top national trends. What are the trends? What our children want to see when India become 100, 2047? Like women empowerment, corruption, okay, untouchability. These are some of the things. Technology. So trends, they vary from state to state, but there is a major undercurrent that India will not be the same India which we had. Imagine the last 75 years, how much we have traveled. This journey, it was very difficult, very challenging. We didn't have where we to provide our people. There was poverty, there was famine, there was a crop failure. And we have overcome most of the problems. And it is about the people, the character, the resilience that has brought us so far. So I don't want to just waste your time. I want this 6th National Media Conclave a grand success. Professor Padi, it is in safe hands. He is a Karmi Yogi, I must say, because my last 6 months interaction with him, he is a very emotional and a very passionate person. Whatever he does with full commitment and knowing fully well in Delhi, the government of India, very difficult to meet someone, to get the approval, to get the support, the resources, but he never loses heart. And uh, I wish him all success, and I wish this media conclave all the best. Thank you.
Indeed, we are thankful to Sri S.C. Burma, esteemed advisor to the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, paying tribute to Dr. Harikrishna Mahatab and throwing light on Indian culture, and also speaking about different activities of the Government of India under the Ministry of Culture. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for your presence and for your inspiring address. Now I take the privilege to request our chief guest and all the dignitaries present over to kindly release the Conclave publication. Every year, this Conclave publication is released at the inaugural session, and this sixth edition of the Conclave also witnesses the release of the Conclave publication. May I request esteemed chief guest and all the dignitaries present over to kindly release the Conclave publication. This Conclave publication, which has been released by our esteemed guests, has accommodated innumerable articles on media and culture, and we are very much thankful to Professor Upendra Padhi, the director of INS and the chairman of this conclave, for taking lots of pain and making it so voluminous. And we are very much thankful to the dignitaries for releasing the conclave publication. Indeed, it is a great honor to have in our midst Professor Savita Acharya, esteemed Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, an Indian anthropologist and expert in social and cultural anthropology. Professor Savita Acharya holds the Commonwealth Postdoctoral Fellowship Award, and with experience of working at the prestigious University of Oxford, United Kingdom, Professor Acharya is a name in the domain of higher education, and her name is taken with pride, her name is taken with honor. And having served as the chairperson, PG Council, and Director CDC in Utkal University, Professor Savita Acharya has given a new dimension to administration, and her publications in different journals, different magazines of national and international repute have received wide acclaim. Her book, Pilgrimage of Indian Civilization, has witnessed rare reviews. And as the first lady Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, she has brought about notable changes in the academics and infrastructure to take Utkal University to a new height in the corridors of higher education. We are very much delighted and honored with the gracious presence of Madam Professor Savita Acharya, and may I request you, Madam, to kindly address the congregation.
Namaskar. Esteemed members of the dais, Professor Upendra Padhi, Conclave Chairman and Director, IMS, Professor B.P. Sanjay, Professor, School of Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, Additional Director, CEC, New Delhi, and CSC, Burman, Advisor, Ministry of Culture, Son of the Soil, Government of India, New Delhi, and all dignitaries, distinguished delegates, student friends, research scholars, media persons, ladies and gentlemen. I congratulate the director and his team of IMS for organizing such type of National Media Conclave, the 6th National Media Conclave 2022, after 2 years of COVID-19 situation throughout the world. So after a gap of 2 years to the COVID-19 pandemic, he could arrange such type of national conclave. I'm happy that the Eastern India's biggest literary and academic establishment, Extravaganza, the National Media Conclave, is back once again in digital mode, not in online mode. So I congratulate the entire team again, once again. And as the theme of the conference is concerned, the conference is having broad theme, that is media and culture. It is being organized by IMS, which is under Utkal University, with many collaborators, associationship with CSE and many others. And you know, media, that is a very common and familiar term nowadays in present society. So media is a powerful social system. It plays an important role in creating a person's sense of reality. And you know, media, that is now it is a crucial juncture as a proper fine line between the extent of freedom of expression and state's norms of intervention, which are quite puzzling sometimes. So it proved to be influential on the belief that its wider cultural sense, media largely reinforced those values and norms which had already achieved a wide consensual foundation. So, the complementary and independent media are the most substantial requirements of the utility of democracy. The mass media are less effective in this process if they use a hostile perception and more powerful when persuasive press inferences. So this persuasive press inference depicts that frequently individuals presume public opinion from the perception of the content of media coverage. And they have the assumption regarding the content that have considerable influence on people. You know, nowadays, media has played a major role, a very influential role on individuals, on society and culture. And you know, today is International Television Day. And through television, through news, through media coverages, through online media, the news is very quickly, it has been spread to all individuals very quickly. So that is the beauty of today's status of media in society. As today's theme is on media and culture, being an anthropologist, I can say culture is learned. Culture is the way of behavior of people, on which media is very much dependent on the way of behavior of people. As the Burman said that it is the food habit, dress pattern, the socialization process. So culture is learned, not transmitted. It is transmitted, but it is not inherited biologically. So culture is not inherited, but transmitted from generation to generation. So it is, you can say it is an integrating mechanism. Culture is the way of behavior of individuals, of people, and people in an organized way they form a society. Society consists of number of individuals, and those behavior of those individuals is their culture. So culture as an integrative mechanism, the social or the normative glue that holds together a potentially diverse group of organizational members. We are always observing that culture is changing, culture is dynamic, culture is not static. That means these cultural elements in a society that are changing due to influence of another culture. When two cultures come in contact with each other, some elements from one culture, the recessive culture, is being adopted by the dominant culture. This process of adoption of cultural elements, we can call it through the process of diffusion, acculturation. So we can say the elements of culture in a society that must be transmitted from one culture to another culture, or otherwise you can say the Eastern culture, Western culture, when different types of cultures they come in contact with each other, many diffusion processes are to start, and the people they are incorporated towards the adoption of the new cultural elements. So the processes of diffusion, processes of acculturation bring some kind of cultural changes through adoptive processes. So sometimes diffusion is due to intermediate contact that occurs through the third party. And if we discuss media, mass media has a political and persuasive power over us. Through radio, TV, press, we can manipulate whole societies. So political propaganda, advertising, and so-called mind-blending power of the media are long-standing causes of debate and concern. Media has a great role on our social behavior, which is a part of our culture nowadays. So media also plays an important role in disseminating our daily life cultural practices. As my previous speaker, S.C. Burman, said that it has tremendous impact, the media has tremendous impact. And he said about the Odishan culture, Puri, where the great Puri is a place where the cultural content are from great tradition and little tradition. Being a 23% of tribal population in Odisha, there are influences of tribal culture in Jagannath culture. So, the tribal culture is a part of Odishan culture. Jagannath is the Lord of universe. He controls everything. And as far the look is concerned, Jagannath resembles some tribal. He is also called as tribal deity, the king of the tribals. So cultural values also shape our mass media messages. When producers of media content, they have vested interest in particular social goals. People can produce and symbolize cultural identities through media. I hope all the media educators, research scholars, experts, distinguished delegates who are practicing media executives, policymakers, they all are the people's representative. They should share their ideas, their research findings, their knowledge, and they can discuss in details the importance of media and culture in different plenary sessions of these 3 days national seminar, national conference. They will discuss as far the sub-themes are concerned, the subjects like culture, communication, Indian society, media, nation, one nation building also should be there, nation building, role of media in nation building, the conservation of India's art culture, cultural diversity. Like many topics are there, topics of debates, and many scholars and many distinguished delegates will present their paper and will discuss in an interactive mode so that everybody will get a chance to participate and to give their own opinion freely, so that the outcome of this 3-day national conference will be very beneficial for the future research, conclave and future research in media and culture. So, a galaxy of distinguished academicians, research scholars, students, those who are coming here to participate this 6th National Media Conclave, they can contribute their ideas, new knowledge in this platform, and they can share their vast experience and insights with the people of Odisha, widely known for its rich literary heritage. And I also expect that this conclave has been, in its essence, will add new knowledge and new things, ideas and exchange of values, serving a veritable feast of intellectual discourse during these 3 days discussion. And this topic is a very general and wide topic. So any sub-theme or sub-topic can also be discussed in this broad theme that is on culture and media. So I congratulate Professor Padhi that he has given such type of thing that anybody can contribute their idea and innovative ideas, knowledge. So anything related to media and anything related to culture. So the variety of the paper will be very wide as I can expect. And my best wishes to all of you, the organizer and the participant, for a successful completion of this 3-day 6th National Media Conclave organized by IMS under Utkal University. I again thank you everybody, and thank you the organizer for giving me this opportunity to speak about few lines on culture in addition to media. Thank you everybody. Jai Jagannath.
Indeed, we are very much enlightened by the address of Professor Savita Acharya, esteemed Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, and rightly she has mentioned that culture having manifestations in our activities, in our behavior, in our nature, in our approach, and in our appearance reflects our life and our psyche as well. And media has a great role to play in disseminating culture and uphold the cultural values. This is what can be handed over to our posterity. And we are very much grateful to you, Madam, for your benign presence and for your encouraging address. I am very much delighted to make an announcement here that this conclave is being webcast in the Conclave Facebook page and YouTube page. And everybody present over is very much encouraged to tweet and post your respective responses in the Facebook and Twitter using hashtag NNC2022. Now, we are at the fag end of this inaugural session, and after the lunch break, we will be moving to the plenary sessions. But before that, I take the privilege to request esteemed Director, IMS and Chairman of this conclave, Mr. Upendra Patil, to present a memento as a token of love and appreciation to the gracious presence of our dignitaries on the dais. Small as our gifts are, but our gesture is warm and honest. Now, Professor Upendra Patil is going to present a memento on behalf of this National Media Conclave of its 6th edition. Professor Savita Acharya, Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, Director of Educational Communication, New Delhi, Professor Sri S.C. Verma, Advisor to Minister of Culture, Government of India, and Professor B.P. Sanjay, Professor School of Communication, Manipal Academy of Education. And now, I would like to request Sri Manoranjan Panda, Assistant Professor, Institute of Media Studies, to present the words of thanks.
We have a small token of gratitude on behalf of all the participants here. I am going to present you, I and my another participant, my daughter in fact, Nimisa's fiancé, she has done a portrait of Supendra Padi. We would love to give it to him. And I also request you to please join us for an exhibition right next door. There is a small exhibition. Thank you.
So the portrait of the director, Institute of Media Studies, Mr. Vipendra Padi is being given to him. We are very much thankful to the artist. Thank you. And now I would like to request Manoranjan Panda, Assistant Professor, Institute of Media Studies, to present the words of thanks.
A warm and graceful afternoon to our valued guests and delegates on the dais and off the dais. I pay my tribute to former Chief Minister of Odisha, Dr. Hari Krishna Bhatta, who was also a champion of rural journalism in Odisha on his 123rd birth anniversary. I am Manoranjan Panda, being the conclave convener, once again welcome you all to this Eastern India's literary and extravaganza, popularly known as Media Mahakumbh. I feel honored and privileged to propose a vote of thanks on this inaugural ceremony. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, Professor Savita Acharya, for his kind words and collaborating with different teams of media and culture on this presence. Thank you, ma'am, for your presence. I also convey my deep regards and thanks to Additional Director of Consortium for Educational Communication, CEC, Professor Rajneesh Srivastava, for his presence and words of wisdom. I also convey my deep regards and thanks to Advisor, Minister of Culture, Government of India, S.C. Burma, for the time and words of wisdom. My sincere thanks to the Conclave Patron and Professor of School of Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Professor B.P. Sanjay. And I also convey my deep regards to Professor of Eminence, Sunil Behera sir, even though he is not present, but his guidance always encourages us to conduct this kind of conclave work. And I also convey my thankful to our conclave chairman, the man behind this mega affair, and the guiding force, the Director of Institute of Media Studies under Utkal University, Professor Upendra Padi, for his organizing this conclave. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the organizing committee members and the invited speakers. Words are not enough to thank their constant guidance and support to set this conclave. I express my deep gratitude to our venue partner, KIT University. They supported in all possible manner to organize this conclave. Our collaborative partners, Consortium for Educational Communication, Odia Language, Literature and Culture Department, Government of Odisha, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, Indian Council of Historical Research, ICHR, and Breakthrough India for their support. At the end, I am also very thankful to thank our MC, not a presenter, our academician, Dr. Mukhinder Ratta, for managing his inaugural ceremony, and I also thank media persons for covering this event and student delegates from different universities. if time is money, then today you have spent millions for us. Thank you to all of you for making this inaugural event successful. Having established itself as the most awaited event in the country's academic calendar, we hope the National Media Conclave in its 6th edition will all set to be bigger and better. Have a wonderful stay at Bhubaneswar and enjoy the 3-day conclave. Have a good day. So before I conclude, I request Professor Upendra Padi, Conclave Chairman, to felicitate Dr. Mrityunjay Rathod, the moderator of this inaugural session. Thank you so much.
It's a privilege for us. Dr. Mrityunjay Rathod is a part of our family. So we also feel honored, though he discharged his responsibility moderating the inaugural session. So I request our chief guest, our mentor, our leader, Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, Utkal University, Madam Sabita Acharya, to felicitate Dr. Mrityunjay Rathod.
For the token of love and appreciation to the benign presence of our dignitaries, also we present this memento. And now we have come to the end of this inaugural session, and now I seek the permission of our esteemed dignitaries present over here to conclude this session and to go to the next plenary sessions, which will be followed after this lunch. So thank you everyone, and we attribute the success of this inaugural session to all of you. Thank you. Vande Utkal Janani.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय